guilt outside comes from way deeper. It's within us.
Pain? Yeah, here. That's what Primo Max Strength Lidocaine. Works fast.
Hello and good morning. Carol, if you can hear me, that's quite all right. We'll see you when you get here. Whew. Time to start yawning, guys. Here I've been up since about 7 or so, and now I'm starting to yawn. It's the way it always works. Hey, Kay. How are you this morning? Pardon me while I dig out a box of Kleenex. My nose is trying to run like a sugar tree this morning. Good butt. What does that butt look like? I mean, not a butt, but you know what I mean. What's the face? Sleepy? I'm sorry. I hope it wasn't because you were sick or don't feel well. I certainly have those nights too. My cat, my oldest cat, not Teddy, he for some time now he sleeps near me. He's pretty attached, I guess. And I guess as he gets older, he's gotten crankier. So he's gotten where in the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, he just decides to, climb up on the bed and look me right in the face and go, wow, like it's time for breakfast or something. He'll reach over and start tapping my face or something just to wake up. Well, I can understand that. And I'm going to assume that's a tough situation. I don't sleep very good either. I sleep better now. Oh, excuse me. I sleep better now than I did a few years ago. When I retired, when I stopped working the last few months or even the last couple of years of working, I didn't sleep worth a tinker's darn. I found myself laying awake staring at the ceiling at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and just to have to try to get up at 5 or 5:30 to get to work on time. Excuse me. And I don't know why, because I was tired. Maybe that was the problem. I was too tired. I don't know. And then after I retired, it took me a while to get back to that, and I still don't go to bed on time. Not like I used to. But I do get a fair bit of sleep once I get in bed. I fall right to sleep, except when I have to get up and go to the bathroom. Or the cat wakes me up. Yeah. I think people do get used to it, but I still think it wears on you. You probably remember this. I don't know, but I can remember when many years ago, Jerry Lewis, when he used to do his telethons on TV. Okay, I'm sorry. When he used to do his telethons on TV, he'd he often commented on the fact that he rarely got more than 4 hours sleep. In fact, I think that's what he said he went on was 4 hours sleep. But I always thought it really showed. I thought he could tell by looking at him that he hadn't gotten much sleep. And I just realized I haven't turned off my light on my right lights. Let me see if the lighting gets better here. Is that any better? Or is that even, can you even tell the difference? Yeah, once when they started showing it in our area, and I suspect that it ran for years before I ever knew it was on, but we usually watch at least parts of it. And I guess before he passed away, I guess he wasn't on it as much, but I just always thought he was I don't know what kind of person he was, but I always thought he was a great comedian. Although I must admit, I think he lost a step when him and Dean Martin broke up. I think they were better together than alone. Just my opinion. Again, I remember some of those great Dean Martin and Lewis movies too that probably a lot of younger folks today don't even know. Golly, what I'm talking about. I don't know what is going on with the yawning. Didn't realize that had a grommet right there. Sorry, things catch my eye. Squirrel, you know. They were good together. Some of the movies just, in fact, I'd still like to see some of them again. I haven't seen any of them in ages, but there were a few of those movies that were just absolutely hilarious. Of course, by and large, Don Knotts was hilarious too, although I think he and Andy Griffith played well off each other too, for that matter. I do too. You know, some of his might have been so, but I like Dean Martin in westerns. In fact, I think he and Jerry Lewis did a western. I can't remember the name of it, but Jerry Lewis, I think, maybe he was an eye doctor or something. I don't know. I mean, maybe a different movie. Seems like they went on the road chasing some girls and they were trying to be rodeo cowboys or something. I may have that all wrong. I just noticed you can't even see what's on my cup. It's my coffee and contemplation cup from Triple P and the Lynn Project. In fact, I need to wear my shirt. I've got a Lynn Project shirt I keep meaning to wear on stream, and I keep forgetting I've got it. Oh, Abbott Costello. Now, there were some classics. I mean, talk about funny. Those guys. And there's two. I don't know if they could have made it without each other. I don't know if they ever tried, but let me take some deep breaths here and see if I can stop yawning. I wasn't yawning until I started talking. I guess that's the problem. Abbott and Costello were just a hoot. That's all there was to that. Excuse me while I lean over and get some more coffee. Maybe that'll help. So you have any big plans for today, Kay? You know something, I'm not sure how old you are, and I'm not asking for your age, but something my wife and I have discussed a few times. We lived in a time when there were a lot of I may have to start all over again to get past this yawning fit. Are you yawning out there? That's what making me yawn. We grew up in an age when I get in some ways I've heard the golden age of movies and that sort of thing, but I think we kind of grew up right at the tail end of a lot of that, and we got to see a lot of really great actors. And I'm still not sure we've seen their equals in a lot of cases that have now passed away. Excuse me. Cat's yawning. That's probably what it is. My cat's not yawning. He's sound asleep. Well, you go make your waffles whenever you need to do that. And I'll be here when you come back, if you come back. But, I don't know. Again, I don't know your age, but my age group greats like, Henry Fonda, Jimmy Stewart. I'll add John Wayne to that. Gregory Peck. Oh, who said Judy? I can't think of his name. It'll come to him in a minute. Just a lot of really great ones. Doris Day and Rock Hudson. There were some great. I like Doris Day and about everything. Yeah, I know John Wayne had some controversial things in his life, and unfortunately he died from, I guess, smoking. And I don't know if, I realize a lot of people wouldn't think he was the greatest actor out there, and maybe he wasn't, but he was certainly good in the pictures, the movies he made. At least I thought so. He fit the bill. So I guess I'm a pretty big fan too. Trying to think who else I really. Well, we just talked about Martin and Lewis. Some of their comedies, I guess most of them came out in the 50s or early 60s. They were just really good. And that's not to mention that on the female side of that, like you said, was there ever a more beautiful actress or person than okay, I'm drawing a complete blank. I just had her in my mind and my face, and now I can't think of her name. She was one of the Hepburns. Oh shoot. Anyway. Oh my God. I love Ma and Pa Kettle. Weren't they just the best? I have to admit, some of the things they said and did, I could sort of associate with. I guess it's because we're Katharine Hepburn. I think she's the one I was trying to think of. The Kettles were just, that was some of the funniest stuff I've ever. Like I said, I guess I can associate with that because I think I knew them somewhere up in the mountains. I'm pretty sure I did. Not literally, but I knew people much like that, I think. Maybe not quite as witty as Ma and Pa Kettle, but certainly they lived a lot like that. Where'd you grow up, Kay? I'm not sure. I know you've told me where you live, or I think you're in Pennsylvania, aren't you? But did you grow up there, or did you grow up somewhere else? I grew up in what I call Upper East Tennessee, right at the foot of the mountains, but I've lived in Middle Tennessee and now in Knoxville, which is 100 miles east of where I grew up. But I've also lived in Florida for a while. for a little while. Audrey is the one I'm thinking of. I just thought she was such a pretty lady. I mean, all of her, again, it maybe have a lot to do with all of her photographers and stuff, but she was. There's Brenda Pruitt talking. My goodness, welcome in, Brenda Pruitt. I think I know you. My God, I can't believe you're in my chat. Oh, that's right. You're still down there. That's right. You told me because you're in more of towards the uplands or the north central or northeast Carolina. Yes, Brenda, you're absolutely right. It is Audrey. Well, I'm glad to see you in chat today, Miss Pruitt. I was just thinking a little while ago, it's a shame when your own wife don't show up to support you. Although she supports me every day. She brought me breakfast a little while ago. Yeah, Brenda, meet KK, meet Brenda. I've been trying to get her to come into more chats and socialize and meet a few people, but she's stubborn like that. Now, Brenda, while maybe largely a Tennessee girl, was actually born in California. So I get to, I get to brag about I married a California girl. That kind of makes it sound exotic, like, I married a California girl. Brenda has an Etsy site. Brenda is, despite her claims, I think, an excellent seamstress. She has made things and made me things for most of our marriage, although I can hear her eyes rolling even with my headphones on. But when I used to reenact, she used to make a lot of my clothing. In fact, she sold quite a few shirts and things that she made for other reenactors over the years. I think she's way better than she thinks she is, but I keep trying to convince her. She does have some aprons left, I think, online on Etsy. I don't know how much stuff she's got there. She's been making aprons and children's clothing for the last few years off and on. But I think she can make just about anything if she sets her mind to it. And me, on the other hand, I'm scared to death of a sewing machine. I'm a gearhead by heart. I love mechanical things, and I love to like my watches, my pocket watches. I love to look at the mechanical working, the mastery of putting something like that together. But a sewing machine, to this day, still baffles me beyond belief how it works. I can't not figure that out. And I'm afraid to put my finger in there. I'm afraid I'll run a needle through it. But she, just sews right away on them. Hey, it's whatever works. That's probably what I'd do. Something very similar to that, at least. The only thing I've ever sewn in my life was a few things with artificial sinew when I was doing mountain man type stuff years ago. She used to do beadwork also, and I've got a deerskin rifle cover that she made for me that's beaded. It's just amazing. I was the envy of my peers when I had that around. It was really nicely done. I need to get that out and take pictures of it and brag about it some. White deer skin, that's correct. I mean, okay, that's, again, I don't know their age or your age, but I'm not sure how many people, younger people. I mean, I've seen some, and Brenda, she has some, there's some people on YouTube, but she's watched it that are younger that sew. But like our daughters, they can't sew a lick or not much. But she grew up doing it, and I guess her mom did it. In fact, her mom didn't she used to sew blue jeans for somebody, Brenda? I mean, a company. Not that that's the same thing, um, but she, they used to take home ec, and they even learned things like that in home ec, which they don't do anymore. I think they call it something. Yeah, she worked for Levi's. I thought she worked for somebody like that. Well, your mom's about the same age as my mom was when she passed away. I guess all four of our parents. Brenda's mom is the only one with us. I guess she's in her 80s, but I can't remember exactly how old. Her dad was a little bit younger than mine. My dad was born in 1930. Her dad, I believe, was born in 33 or 34. My mom was born in 33. Brenda, I don't remember when your mom was born. What year was she born? Do you remember? Yeah, see, they don't do stuff like that today. I bet there's not a sewing machine in a school anymore. Kind of like gym. They don't, kids don't have to take gymnasium. Oh, they were both born in 37? I didn't know they were that much younger. Okay. I don't know why, but I was thinking I looked at something for your dad, and it said before that. I know why. Brenda just went up to Johnson City a few days ago and went to. Oh, it is 37. How about that? I misread that. Went to her dad's father's gravesite. My mom and dad both are, and they're all three buried at the Veterans Home, National Cemetery at Mountain Home in Johnson City, Tennessee. And we didn't know this till Mom passed away, or I didn't, because Dad was a veteran and had rights to be buried in the National Cemetery. Mom was able to be buried there also, so they are in the same grave, which I actually thought was very fitting. Well, that's cool, Kay. I mean, I'd rather put a tiger paw on it than my initials. Well, you may be close to the same age as us then, or thereabouts. And you probably know what it's like to grow up with what I call Depression era parents, where they were thrifty probably than people. I mean, my dad especially, but my mom was bad. They didn't throw much away. I won't say they were hoarders. Brenda might say they were hoarders, but by comparison of hoarders, they weren't. But Mom kept a lot of stuff. If she had feelings for it, it was important. She thought we should keep it. My dad wouldn't throw anything. He didn't throw stuff away. He wanted to keep it. He wanted to reuse it, not just keep it, but he wanted to reuse it. He'd straighten out used nails and save lumber from everything he could find, because you never know when you might need a nice board, and he wouldn't dare throw it away. Okay, Brenda, explain that. Okay, you're trying to say she was a professional seamstress, not St. Francis? You must be using speak to text. I I am too. Brenda gets me because I save stuff, but I got it. I got it. Honestly, it came from my parents. I know my grandparents are probably similar, but I think anybody that grew up I think a lot of people that grew up poor in the Depression, and if you were out in the country and grew up on a farm or something like that, you were probably poor, or at least at that time. And I think anybody that grew up during that time had a tendency to keep stuff. If it could be used, they'd keep it till it was either worn plumb out or just had no further use. But I don't think they threw stuff away. At least that's my opinion. Okay, we're both. Well, Brenda's 63. I'm 64. She'll be 63 soon, or 4 soon. Unless she decides to stay 63, I guess. She always likes to brag she's younger than I am by about 5 months. Hey, Adventures by D, welcome. And it's Dave. How are you today, sir? Yeah, I'm kind of that way too. Well, grab you a cup, sit back, and let's palaver a little bit and see what's going on in your life. But I was just kind of hanging around. I had some couple of things I was going to talk about, but I was just kind of hanging around to see if a few other people showed up. I know Carol's coming in eventually, and I know there's other people streaming this morning. I think Myers and the Mouse are streaming from Studios or Epcot, I think, today. So may not be a big crowd here, but we're going to sit and talk to the ones that show up. I know Carol's coming in pretty soon. She's already texted me. So how are things down towards Atlanta? Well, it cooled off a little bit around here last week. I wish it would stay that way, but I'm sure it's not going to. Oh, they are, huh? They left you at home? No, they should have a nice day at Dollywood. It's, like I said, it's not been quite as hot up here, and it was really nice for a couple of days. I don't know how long they've been up here, but I think there's a chance of rain this afternoon, but that's normal this time of year. Right now, it looks gorgeous outside. You know where Suchess is, Dave? Northeast of Atlanta. I don't know exactly where you live around Atlanta, but a friend of mine was headed down there today on his motorcycle. Wish I could have been going with him, but I'm still not up to riding motorcycles. I don't know. I would say it's up near Dahlonega in that part of Georgia, that part of the state, up, like I said, northeast of Atlanta, kind of in the mountains near, not far from Rome, Georgia, just in that general area. Anyway, it's a nice little area. There was a famous motorcycle campground there for a long time. It's called TWO, which stood for Two Wheels Only. And it's not, I don't know if it's technically called that anymore, but somebody else has bought it and revamped it and has it keeping it going. I think actually it may still be that, but it's to like Two Wheels of Suchess or something they call it now. but they were having an Italian motorcycle gathering there today, and he happens to be the proud owner of an Italian scooter or motorcycle. So he was going to ride down there and see what was going on. That's some great riding country if you're a motorcyclist. And nice to drive through too, for that matter. Now my nose is itching, Kay. I went from yawning and sneeze, or trying not to sneeze, to just an itchy nose. So, Dave, are you a native Georgian, or are you an immigrant, so to speak? Did you move down there, or have you been there for a long time? Or oh yes, I'm sure you do, Dave. There's some really good riding up in North Georgia, East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, Virginia, Western Virginia, at least parts of Kentucky. I mean, it's just got some great roads. Ah, from Indy. Okay. Been there a couple times. I've never been there for a car race, but I've been up there a couple times for motorcycle races. When they were having World Grand Prix there for a while for motorcycles in the, I don't know when the last one was. I went up there and I had one in 2008. I was at that one. I think 2009 and maybe 10. They had 3 or 4 in a row. I went to 2 of them, I think, maybe 3. Yeah, they moved from there down, I think, and here too, to a degree. We've got, when I worked for TVA, we had a lot of Michiganders and Ohioans, and well, that was probably the 2 most common states actually that moved down to just north of Knoxville here for the lakes, and after they retired, and that was kind of the boundary line. You get a little bit of winter, but not a whole lot of winter, and mostly hot, muggy summer. But it's getting to where there's not too many native local counties up there are full of folks that have moved in from other places now. A huge culture shock for some of them, and it's a real dichotomous combination of people, from, for lack of a better word, from haves to have-nots, because those counties are generally have been pretty poor to folks that come down with expendable money to buy a second house or a retirement home on the lake and that kind of stuff. I do, Dave, and that's a very interesting point you brought up. Francisco, it's fun. As Tracy Glenn says, it's fun to say Francisco. Good to see you, my friend. Yes, I mean TVA is in Tennessee Valley Authority and not Loki. I was watching a Loki commercial last night. I find this somewhat interesting. And in this commercial, Loki was on an elevator or some sort of time traveling device, perhaps, I don't know. But he was being escorted somewhere with a TVA security person, and on his uniform they had him in a prison uniform, and it had a number, on the shoulder, but on the back it said TVA. And the interesting thing about that was their TVA logo looks almost identical to the Tennessee Valley Authority logo, except that it's red, not white. TVA is always either blue or white, depending on the background. But the V was made very similar. The A looked very similar. I just have to wonder if that's a coincidence or not. But okay, Kay, don't burn your waffles. But yeah, it's two different TVAs, but spelled the same, so to speak. But their logo does look a whole lot like the TVA logo. I'm going to have to get a picture of that and a picture of the TVA logo and show on here sometime how close they are. They're very similar. I thought that was interesting. So, Francisco, I'm going to guess, this is just a wild speculation, mind you, that you're a Dodgers fan. How are the Dodgers doing so far this season? I've not really kept up with baseball like I should be. I really missed it when it was gone, and now I haven't watched that much. Of course, it's still hockey season for me, and I really got into hockey a few years back. Well, I've actually enjoyed hockey for years, but after I got high def TV and was able to really see hockey on television, it became even better. Is Carol here? She's not, may not be chatting, but she is around. And the California hockey teams this year didn't fare so well. None of them made it to the playoffs. That's been kind of unusual because for the last few years, there's usually been at least one team from out there involved, either San Diego or the Kings. Or not San Diego. I guess San Jose. The Sharks are from San Jose. I mean, not San Diego. That would be up around Monarch Moments country. Garrett and Michelle, Hannah and Gabe. I started working on some pictures today, and I didn't really finish them. So I'll have to do that next week, I guess. But I was just trying to pick through some things that I guess I would have to say either changed my life or mattered in my life or were influential in my life. But I was also trying to look at some things I had and put together. You see my bear name today. I usually change the first name to match something I either want to talk about or something I'm thinking about or something somebody else wants me to talk about. And, I was just thinking about things that may have been curious about. And I guess I've been curious all my life about just about anything you can think of. I've always wanted to learn and pick up new things and actually meet new people. Well, welcome home, Carol. Oh, you had a hectic morning. I hope everything's okay. You can say hello to Francisco and Dave from Adventures of D, and I think Brenda Pruitt is still in here somewhere, maybe. If she is, Brenda, say hi to Carol, Teddy's biggest fan. I think Teddy's pouting today. He got in a little bit of trouble this morning. She's the president of his fan club. She's got to where she doesn't really even say hi to me. She really says hi to Teddy, and then throws me out there for to make me feel better. And Tina McNeil. Yeah, Tina, I think there probably is a lot going on today. I know there's some live streaming happening, and I don't know what else is going on, but I know there's a lot going on. So I kind of figure it's going to be slim pickings today. But I certainly am honored and glad to have all you guys here. I figure other people are probably busy this morning. In fact, I bet you're multitasking even as we speak. As some of you can probably tell by Tina's logo there, she's always watching. She's one of the mods extraordinaire in our group that seems to be everywhere at once. It's hard for me to, if I'm doing this, it's hard for me to do multitasking, and I can't do it like you guys, like you and I think Stacy and a couple of others. You seem to be able to be everywhere at one time. I can't keep up with all of them. But when I'm doing this, I've got my StreamYard screen up over here, and I've got my YouTube screen up over there, and that's all I can do to keep up with, and I don't do a very good job of that. In fact, I don't have the chat window up over there. That's not my microphone on. Oops, that wasn't what I meant to do. But I did mean to do something here. Not any of those things, though. Oh, well. I'll figure it out again later. I'm always trying to figure out how to. I can't remember how to put people in. Oh, my goodness, Tina. 6 streams plus other stuff. See, that's just. I don't know how you do it. And I'm not even going to try. Okay, now maybe I can. Well, I still can't do it right. Well, maybe I'm not doing it right. Hang on a minute. Oh, I've lost my way here, folks. Hang on just a moment. Oh, never mind. I'll get back to my job. Hey, Cherie. Oh no, death, murder, and mayhem's calling Brenda. There's a lag. Oh, you must. Yeah, because you're in the YouTube chat, and there is a lag between what I say and what you're hearing. I should shut my door, and then you wouldn't catch that much lag. Okay, well, I don't know what this is about. Let me look. Oh, I'm so sorry, Cherie. I see it now. That's tough. How old was he? I don't want to ask too many delicate questions, but 14. I didn't know the young man, but one of my friends from work, former colleagues, she and her family lived not too far from us, and there was a young man, a boy. I don't know if he'd reached the age of 10 or not, who developed a specific type of brain cancer, maybe the same thing that affects children. And it was a long, hard fought battle, but he lost it last year, I think, too. And it's hard to lose anybody, but a young person just seems to be, somehow makes it so much worse or harder. Folks, I'm going to just, yeah, that would have been more. I agree with you, Cherie, that it would have been harder because you would have been thinking everything in the world and probably thinking that's what happened, but you wouldn't know. I'm going to stop my camera just for a moment, but I'll be right back. I'm still here. There, Brenda, that should help your lag situation a little bit. Oh, well, that's a different kind of losing my way. That's out in the woods direction. That's out, directions. I'm talking about trying to find something on the computer. That's a whole nother losing my way. I don't know if anybody, you guys remember the magnetic boogers, but that was a line from, I think, Home Improvement when Tim Allen was doing that show. Either him or his wife said that's how come men never asked directions. It's because they had magnetic boogers. She's never forgotten that. Brenda, who I will, say that she does not have magnetic boogers. That's for sure. Yeah, it's a reference to direction. Hey, Amy, welcome in AJC of Magic TV. Yeah, okay, it's a reference to have magnetic nose or whatever, so you can know directions and where you're going. And Tim Allen made a reference, or his wife. I'm not sure which one. That's why men didn't have to ask directions, because they had magnetic boogers, so they could always find north and south, which is not entirely true, of course, but according to him, it was. So Brenda has never let me forget that. So if I get lost, she always wants to know what happened to my magnetic boogers. She, on the other hand, is what I refer to as geographically challenged. So she can't cast too many stones at my glass house. And how is Amy today? Let's see. You've been home. I guess you're home from Florida. Have you recuperated from your trip? Well, before I lose Brenda, since she's part of the audience today, I will tell you again why I put Curious Bear in the chat on my name today, is because I was just wondering what people are curious about. There's all people. I mean, you have things you wonder about, or things you learn about, or things you're interested in. Is Kitty around? Yeah, Kitty's right here. Let me see if I can wake him up. Hang on just 1 second, Cherie. Teddy, come here. Somebody wants to see you. Oh. Here he is. Say hi. You say hi? You say hi, Grumpy. As you can probably tell, he was asleep. Ouch. And he's going to go back to sleep. But I guess I'd be grumpy too if I woke him up, if he woke me up. He'll want, when he wants to be held, he wants to be held. But when he's asleep, he is a Class A #1 sleeper. Carol said, hi, Super Teddy. I need to teach you how to respond. You're welcome, Cherie. Here's another one. Here's another kitty. Okay, if you're still in here, this is the one that wakes me up at night. This is Spooky. This is our oldest cat. Mr. Spooky's pushing 20. He probably is 20. I think he is anyway. He's at least 18. And while he is a bit cranky, other than that, he seems to be doing fine. He's skinny as a rail, but he always has been. He's never been a big cat. He lives right here with Teddy, and you've seen Teddy, how big this is the skinny one, Cherie. And Chloe, Teddy's little sister, out of the same litter as Teddy. She's tiny too, but she's a little bit beefier. But this guy's always been just almost rail thin. He's just always been that way. It's the kind of cat he is, I guess. And he's fast, and he's still fast, even at his age. And he's one heck of a mouser. Yeah, we used to have 2 black cats. We really like black cats, but right now he's our last blackin', aren't you? Now our other black cat's name was Mouse. We thought that was an appropriate name, and he was a Teddy-sized cat. He was a whopper, and he was probably one of the sweetest cats we've ever had. But unfortunately, he had renal failure and didn't make it. But you went down here. But that's the guy, Cherie, that wakes me up in the middle of the night. I don't know if it's an old age thing for him too, but he gets up and he'll scratch my arm or pat me on. He sleeps on the bed where I do. He's been kind of attached to me for years, but when he's ready to get up, or he thinks it's time to eat again, or he thinks something needs to happen, he doesn't hesitate to wake somebody up to let them know. And Chloe's a sweetheart. She's kind of a prima donna. She's Brenda's little girl. She'll love on me a little bit, but she won't sleep in my lap, for example, but she always sleeps with Brenda. But Brenda raised both of them on a bottle, so it's a wonder Teddy has anything to do with me either. Oh, that's interesting, Dave. Ours weren't related physically that we know of, but they both were strays. That one, Spooky, came out of I won't say an alley, but he came out from behind the dumpster, if you will, at one of the local malls, and my daughter found him. She was working at Ruby Tuesdays. He was just a little bitty guy. Well, several weeks old. He was bigger than Teddy was when we found Teddy, but she brought him home, and then sometime later, I don't know, a couple of years maybe, or maybe not that far, she found Mouse. He was wandering in a parking lot somewhere, and he needed a home, so we brought him in too. And I can't remember. We might have grabbed him right before Halloween, and and the initial reason was we didn't want bad things happen to black cats on Halloween sometimes, at least around here. I don't know if that's common everywhere, but hey, Jonathan, good morning, sir. But we didn't want anything to happen to him, so we took him in and then ended up keeping him because he was such a sweetheart. And there for a while, we had another black cat that we tried to save. He was out here. He used to come to the front door. We don't know where he came from, but he ended up leaving, so hopefully nothing happened to him. I know we took him in a couple of times on Halloween, though, just to make sure nothing happened to him on Halloween, which is a shame that anything would, but it does. A friend of mine used to have a Siamese, Cherie, and that Siamese would wake him up every morning at a certain time by getting up on him on the bed and take its paws and push on his eyes to, try to open his eyes. So till he got up. Oh, Chloe's asleep in your lap right now. Yeah, I think black cats are that way too. Okay, I don't know if that's a thing, but I know Mouse was. Mousy was he was a real sweetheart. We still miss Mouse. She's a snuggler with Brenda, Carol. She's not a snuggler with me. And Teddy takes his spells, but he likes to snuggle on me. And he, when I first was hurt and in bed most of the time, he slept with me a lot. but he's also funny. I mean, what he does a lot of times, he'll get up and lay down with me, and when I fall asleep, then he gets up and leaves at some point and goes sleep, somewhere else. But okay, Cherie. But Teddy and Chloe are the same litter, and they're just so different. Not so, well, somewhat personality, but just in size and morphology, I guess. It's just hard to believe they came out of the same litter of cats. As far as we know, they did. They were we found them together, so I'm pretty sure they did. There was actually 3. The third kitten that somebody else took after we gave her away when we found her. She was, I don't know what body size or she grew up to be, but she was entirely different color too. She was kind of a turquoise or tortoiseshell type calico looking cat, but with longer fur. Chloe's real short fur. Teddy's kind of intermediate. Okay, Brenda, I guess you're going to go watch ID Channel or take a nap, one or the other. Tina, yeah, that's probably true. Your dogs are probably a little bigger. You got hound dogs, if I'm not mistaken. Well, sure, if they're on there, we can take a look later, or I will. Bye, Brenda. Bye, babe. Thanks for showing up, coming in today. I appreciate it. Yeah, they really are, Tina. And that surprised me when I found that out. And then also, that's one of the reasons we found out that that black cats can be in peril on Halloween, because the shelters around here they won't adopt one out when it's around the holiday, when it's around Halloween. They just won't. They've learned, I guess, the hard way. Which is good. I'm glad they realize that and, take measures to prevent that. Okay, Carol. I knew of boys my age or older that used to say they did things to cats and dogs on Halloween. I don't know I never saw it, but I couldn't imagine. Even back then, I could not imagine that. I can't. I don't know why anybody would want to hurt animals or other people, or animals, either one for that matter. But yeah, Tina, it is good reason. I'm glad they don't, but it's still hard for me to believe that people are like that, but they are. I don't. Well, that's good, true too, Kay. I don't get that part either. I guess we can blame. I don't know what we get to blame for that. I guess history, the witch stories, the witch scare of the 1600s. I don't know when those, black cats became symbols of that kind of thing, and black dogs for that matter. Yes, they are, Tina. I injured a pet when I was a little boy, and I guess that stuck with me. The guilt of that has stuck with me all my life, and I've regretted it, of course, ever since. And I didn't do it on purpose, but I wasn't thinking either, obviously, and it just, I hate to say I still feel guilty about it, but I think I do. I just can't. That's one thing I just can't tolerate. I'll be honest with you. There's people I'd rather shoot than shoot pets. Now Now, let me say this: I have hunted in my life, but I don't do much anymore. But that's not why I don't. I mean, when I was hunting game, or they had I tried to give them as fair a chance as I could, and I respected what I was them as much as I, did what I was doing. But just to be mean to animals, to literally just because, to beat them, to fight them, to stick a firecracker up their back end, which I used to hear boys talk about. It's just unheard of. I can't tolerate that. That's just I don't. For one thing, I can't stomach it. I don't know how they can even do it, but I guess it takes all kinds. But man. Okay, Tina, thanks for that one. I appreciate that. That's interesting, Kay. I think I've heard something like that, but I never thought about that. But I'm sure you're right. It is funny how that happens. One part of the one hemisphere's got a black cat thing, and the other side's got a white cat thing. It's amazing. I thought you did, Tina. That's why it was surprised me that you made that point. Well, one of the things I was gonna show today, or I thought about it, which may not be able to find it. I just laid it down here. Well, I guess I won't talk about that. What did I do with that? Hey, did you get my hook? He said no. Okay, let me turn the camera off again for a minute. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I apologize for that, guys. I will be honest with you. I usually turn the camera off. It's not because I'm not dressed. I'm not like Jeff. I wear pants. But I struggle to get up and down, and I guess I just don't want people to, kind of like Franklin D. Roosevelt. He didn't like people seeing him in a wheelchair. And I still don't get up and down too well, so I guess I hide it. I found it. I knew I had it here somewhere. When I first started working for TVA, I had a walking stick that I used it for hiking and stuff, but I used to carry it in my truck, my work vehicle all the time. And what was nice about it was a 3-piece stick, and I could take the bottom off. Okay, Cherie, that's fine. And I used to carry this with me all the time. So how many of you know what that is? It earned me a nickname for a long time. Okay, have a spider that's made its home on my side. Well, maybe as long as he's just in the spider, he'll be all right. I mean, since he's in the side mirror, he won't be in the car. As long as you keep that window up. You roll it down while you're moving, the wind might bring him in. Or her. This was anybody want to guess what I say? Okay, Cherie, thank you. All right. Have a good day. I hope you're feeling well, and sorry again for your loss. Oh, he does. You ever find any bugs in it for the morning, or has he already pulled them all in? You know, that's what they do. They'll catch them during the night, wrap them up, and then pull them in in the daytime. At least that's what they do when they used to be on the porch. Those spiders. Anyway, this is my snake hook. And yes, Kay, that's close enough. Something to move snakes with. That's what it is. And so this earned me the nickname Snake Man when I was first working at TVA, because I'd carry that with me all the time, and I carried my stick with me. I could take the bottom section off the stick and screw that on it, and then I had about a 4 foot or 5, about a 4 foot reach over to, any kind of our crawly friends if I found one or needed to. And yeah, for picking up snakes. That's right, Jonathan. I made that, threaded it and put it together because I had that really great walking stick, which unfortunately I lost a few years back. It got set beside a car after hiking a trail one day and drove off without it and came back. Of course, it was gone. It was a really nice stick. Well, that's probably a good sign then, Kay. It's probably a female, actually. They do most of the web making and hunting and growing and laying eggs. So the males have a hard life in spider kingdoms. They tend to, get in on the breeding part of a spider's life. And then the females tend to eat them, kill them and eat them. Anyway, that's what that stick was for. So I had it all the time with me. And some of the maintenance guys we worked with helped us do our road work and woods work, clearing, cutting trees out for us, that sort of thing. They weren't that snake friendly either, so they started calling me the Snake Man because I always had my stick with me. Because, I'm always curious. But, it's funny to me, funny, ha-ha, funny, as we used to say, is, queer funny, not ha-ha funny. But there was an area I walked for a summer or two. I walked miles and miles and miles of this shoreline. It was remote and wild and, relatively speaking, isolated. No houses on it. Some players hadn't had any kind of roads on them in a long time. They'd been logged at one time, and everybody I ran into up there in the mountains used to tell me how to watch out for rattlesnakes, how thick the rattlesnakes were there. And okay, Kay, Tina, I'm coming back to that just in a second. And they used to warn me all the time about all the rattlesnakes that were on this mountain. All the locals, different people, copperheads, but mostly rattlesnakes. They said just everywhere. Every time you turn around, you'll see a rattlesnake. And I walked that mountain for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I never saw. In fact, the whole time I was there, and I was out in snaky places. I mean, I was all over the backcountry. I saw one snake the whole time I worked on that mountain, and it was a garter snake, which is completely harmless. That's it. I never saw a first rattlesnake. I never saw a copperhead. I never even saw common water snakes down by the lake's edge. They just were not. I couldn't find them, and I think it's because they weren't. One, I know they're not as common as people think. Unfortunately, actually, they've been hunted and killed out in most of those areas because, as most of you know, for most people, a dead snake's a good snake, and so they got killed and strung out on somebody's back porch or whatever. But if it was a rattlesnake, but I just didn't find any, and I looked. I mean, I physically looked for them while I was out there, and I kept thinking, how are these people finding all these snakes when I never see any? I don't know that they were. I think they just heard that rumor and perpetuated it, and I always talked about it, but I really believe in most of the country now in the east, we have rattlesnakes, we have copperheads, but I think they're in some areas are really probably endangered. I don't know if they'll ever make an endangered species list, but I think they've been eradicated just about, which is not good. They take care of a lot of, small mammal, as in rodents, mice, that sort of thing, rats, populations that can do other harm, but as they get overpopulated. But they're just gone. They're just not out there anymore, I don't think. Okay, Tina, I missed something there, but what are you saying only lives once? You talking about spiders or you on snakes? No, I like both, Tina. Oh, you're asking me? No, I like both. I didn't kill them. I just caught them and checked them out and see what they were there. I was always, I like snakes. I used to have snakes. I used to keep snakes for pets, or at least for, a period of time. And, some of them I turned loose after they got to a certain size. Native species of snakes. I did not have exotic species. Yes, male spiders only live once. That's where they only mate once usually, if they get to it all. Sometimes if the female doesn't like them, if they see a male that's putting the moves on her, she's not receptive, or he doesn't appeal to her, she might just kill him right up front. But yes, I like snakes. I mean, like I said, I've had snakes. I keep snakes. I've caught snakes most of my life since I was a kid, actually. I respect them, mind you, and I particularly rattlesnakes and copperheads. I mean, I'm not gonna. Can't say I haven't handled them, but I'm not just gonna walk in and get bit. But oh, Carol, I'm sorry. I understand. I hope everything's okay. Thanks for popping in. I'll tell Teddy. He'll understand. Try to have a good day. Actually, what time is it? I tend to run on and don't lose track of time. I don't know that we've not had a big crowd today, and it may be dwindling, so we may shut down here in a little bit. I may shut down here in about 15 minutes or so. Cut this one a little bit short. Some Saturday mornings we go for a couple hours, and some Saturday mornings we don't. But we might close this one off here in a little bit. I think there's only 3 or 4 of us here, so might just do that. Jonathan, you live in Ontario, right? Near Toronto or in Toronto? Anybody else got any big plans for the day? I don't think we do, but I might try to talk Brenda into getting out and going somewhere here after a while. It's a risky thing. I don't ever know how long I'm going to last before the seated position starts to wear me out. And I do still have some discomfort from lower pain. But just as an update for whoever's here, it's getting better. My feeling is coming back, which is a double-edged sword. Because one, I feel more pain, but yet I can feel more things and can use my legs more, so that's a good thing. And I'm able to walk a little bit, even without assistance. I can take a few steps And usually I couldn't go too far before I'd be worn out or my legs, would really tire. But the biggest problem I have now is balance. I'll get my strength back in time, but the balance is slow. That's where the pool's helped me a lot, though. In the pool, I feel more balanced, and it's allowed me to walk more and use those muscles more now to bring them back and get back in the swing of things. I don't want to burden people with my woes, but that's just kind of what's going on with my life. Well, we show that we have 5 people in the room. So I know Carol's leaving. Yeah, it is, Tina. It's a good thing. I mean, like I said, it hurts. More things hurt. But the fact that I can feel them now is such an improvement over when I couldn't. And, a few months ago, I couldn't feel diddly, hardly much below my waist, especially on my left leg. It was pretty much a gone Gosling. It just, I could feel pressure if somebody touched it, but I couldn't really feel hey, Dad. Hey, Chris. Good morning, buddy. Yeah, I'm doing better. I hope you are too. I mean, it gets better. It gets better. I want to say it gets better every day. I don't know if that's entirely true, but it certainly is getting better week by week, and the pool has helped me tremendously. If you're ever in that sort of situation, I highly recommend pool therapy, water therapy. It is such a enlightening experience. Well, I'll tell you what it did for me. I spent several months last year in bed, and the only way I could get up was with assistance. The only way I could walk to the bathroom was with assistance. I literally couldn't get up and down the steps. If I had to go to the doctor, I had to crawl from some part of my house to the basement to try to get in a car. I mean, going to therapy for a little while was proved impossible. And in fact, I had one of my worst falls trying to come home from therapy. So they stopped my therapy until after I had surgery. But anyway, where was I going? But I couldn't walk. I mean, I literally couldn't do something I've done since I was probably 1 year old. Take a step. And after I had surgery and feeling things started coming back, it still took me weeks to get back to where I could stand upright. And that was with a walker and with the help of others and that sort of thing. And I started back to therapy, and all that started helping. And but I was still struggling to regain confidence and balance. But when they put me in the pool, I could suddenly walk. I mean, it took me a couple of tries and I used flotation to get used to it and move my legs again. But once I picked up that a little strength and that confidence, I was walking in the water. And last week, Tuesday, I was in the pool, and my therapist was just after I'd done some stuff. She said, "You know what? You're practically running now compared to what you did when you came in here." She said, "You've improved tremendously." And I had to think about it for a minute. She's right. I mean, I could do so much. And part of that's because, one, the fear of falling was not there. I wasn't afraid I was going to fall down next step. I wasn't afraid I was going to tumble head over tea kettle. And it made such a huge difference. You have had a fusion and a disc replacement. See, I kept trying. I still think I need a disc replacement in my lower back. My lower back, like the bottom 3 discs, are the ones that are just deteriorated really bad, and those vertebrae rubbed together, and they caused me chronic problem over years. But this more recent problem, where my nerve got pinched, the spinal column got pinched, was up higher than that. And years ago, I tried to talk about some kind of disc replacement, and back then they said, well, there's no real disc that would fix that. But I'm glad they were able to do you some good. Hopefully that did you some good. Sorry about that. Thought I turned my phone off. But hopefully that worked out for you, Chris. I'm going to guess it did some. Hopefully it did. And they talked about doing a fusion on my lower back years ago, and doctor decided that I probably needed to lose some weight, but he was really afraid that because it was the bottom 2 or 3 vertebrae that he'd have to fuse. He said you might bend over one day and just start unzipping your whole spine because that's fused at the bottom, and the next one gets weak, and it does something, and then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. He said it just kind of it could theoretically at least just start opening up your spine. So I didn't want that either. But at the time, I practically begged for it because if you've had dad built, Chris knows what I mean. I mean, if you've lived in that pain, it's after a while you get really tired of it. Well, I hate to hear that, Chris. I know, but I know what you mean. I've had these problems for quite a while now myself. I had an accident at work that caused, well, I assume that's what caused it, or that's what made it get much worse than it might be just from normal wear and tear. I probably didn't take as good care of my running chassis as I should have over the years. I used to joke and say I didn't think I'd live that long, but I'm not quite ready to go yet, and I've about wore out some parts, but my lower back was injured, and that's where it used to be my problem until this paralysis thing set in. And that was about 10 vertebrae up my spines where that happened, more or less right in the middle of my back, which is weird. I mean, who knows what causes that sort of thing and how long it'd been there, or, if bone spurs just happen. Suddenly I have a bone spur that's poking into my spinal cord and I can't feel my legs. It's just weird. Well, Chris, as long as it helps you some, I'm glad that, brother. Like I said, I wouldn't. There's a lot of things I've thought about people I didn't like or didn't like me, or I may not have wished the best for. But the one thing I've never wished on anybody was to have back problems, because it just, pardon me, but it just sucks. It just limits you in so many ways that you don't even think about, and everything from hard physical work to hell riding my motorcycle. Even, pardon me, I can't. I mean, when I'm having really bad back pain, even before this all started, I couldn't go all day on my bike, so I couldn't really travel, which I hated. You just can't set up that long, or you can't, just different things. But anyway, and now I've got arthritis in my knee, so that's not fun either. But that's something I get to feel now that my legs come back. The feeling in my legs come back. I know how much my knee hurts. Chris, are you doing a NASCAR show this week? This weekend? Are they at Sonoma this weekend, or was that last week? I'll be honest, I haven't kept up with it enough lately, or as much. But when I was in NASCAR, then I could have told you anything and everything about it. But Pocono, that's right. Pocono. I heard that advertised on TV today or yesterday. One. Oh, they're going to race today and tomorrow. Cup guys, or well, I guess they're still Cup, aren't they? That's just sprint or whatever. But they're racing 2 races at Pocono, or is this the? It's not calling them the Busch guys. I'm too old fashioned. It was Busch for years, and that's when I worked in it. It was Busch, so I keep calling them Busch. Well, that happens. Yeah, I was going to say they've never done a doubleheader at Pocono before. In fact, they don't do doubleheaders. I don't know if I've ever seen them do a doubleheader. Now that I think about it, that's become a thing with like Indy cars. They do doubleheaders at a few races a year now, or 2 or 3 usually. And I can remember when again, Busch, the Busch series used to race on Saturdays and Sundays occasionally. It'd be what we used to call 1-day races where you'd show up early and qualify and then race that night. That did happen a few times with Busch series. I don't think that happens much anymore either, if it does at all. Tell you what, doing a doubleheader in NASCAR or any kind of racing that's a lot of work for the teams. That's my experiences with the team, and I know how hard a race day was, how much work was involved in a race day. You get to the track at dark 30 or 6 or 7, and depending on where you are when they open, and you're there going pretty much nonstop until the race is over, and then that's not the end of your day. You got to load the truck or pick up all the tools, pack the pit stuff, get the car ready, get it on the truck, just all that stuff, and then drive or go home. So to do that 2 days in a row would be cut out the going home part till next day, but that'd be rough. That'd be a rough weekend. Okay, it's the Xfinity series now, not Busch. Hadn't been Busch in years, I know, but wasn't it Nationwide or something for a while, or one of the insurance companies. I kind of miss the old Winston Cup and Busch series. Not that I was advocating smoking or drinking, but I didn't do either one at the time, so I didn't really see a problem with it. That'd be interesting, though. Like I said, that would be a rough weekend, especially if somebody damages a car. I'm sure they've got their backups with them, and you pretty much don't go nationwide. I still call it Busch. I mean, I know that's not right, but that's what it was for so long. I mean, most of my life it was Busch, and when I worked in it, it was Busch. And, and just like Winston Cup, I mean, I still occasionally do that too. I know that's not right anymore, but that's just what it always was. I can remember when the Busch cars and the Cup cars used to go to. I remember when they used to go to Nashville. That's been a long time ago. And then Busch went there a couple of times after that. I think I may have worked one Busch race there. And but the drivers used to come there. Some of the Cup drivers used to come there at least once or twice a year just to race against the locals. I helped prepare a car for Dale Earnhardt one year and Harry Gant both. We built 2 cars. One was painted up like Harry Gant's Skull Bandit car, number 33, and we painted up a black Goodwrench car for Dale Earnhardt. Oh, did I say Jarrett? If I did, I meant Dale Earnhardt. And with the number 3 on it, and that's what they ran in the local race that night. I think Bobby Hamilton beat them both, I believe, that night. Well, of course, that's where Bobby cut his teeth, but that was fun. I got to hang out with, some Cup drivers, and both those. Actually, I never was an Earnhardt fan on the track necessarily. Kind of a Ford guy, but in person, he was actually a pretty nice guy. Hey, John, Surf Bum's in the house, folks. Welcome, John. Okay. Well, let me have to turn that on here in a little bit. Yeah, I met a lot of drivers back then, and there was a few races where my wife got to go, and was able to get into the pit area with us, made with some restrictions. To actually be in the pits back then and do stuff, you had to have a license through NASCAR, but they could be in the area. NASCAR's always been pretty good about fan participation, if you will, and she got to get a lot of autographs. She's got a book somewhere here that had, I don't remember what year this was, but it had all the current drivers of that year in it. And she got to wander the pits sometimes and get autographs from a lot of those folks. The one guy she liked the least of all that, the worst experience she had with any of those folks was Darrell Waltrip. She thought Darrell Waltrip was an number one a-hole. Now, his little brother, on the other hand, was a nice guy, but Darrell was just I can't say what I want to say and keep any kind of a family rating here, but he was a good racer in his day, but he was an A number one ass most of the time. Okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, Mikey. That's right. Oh, Mikey was kind of a nice guy. I mean, he compared to Darrell, he was a real nice guy. My wife, I mean, he would talk to fans, and he signed her book and talked to her, and she told him to his face. He said, "You're a much nicer guy than your brother." And he said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Why is that?" And she told him. I bet so. I mean, some of those guys like Cale were hard on the track, but they were probably pretty nice guys off the track. Like I say, when they're not racing or they're not on TV, they're different. Bobby Hamilton was, I don't know, Bobby was Bobby on or off the track. It seemed like to me he was just he was a nice guy, and whose career got ended way too soon. His life was ended way too soon, I think. And anyway, and like I said, when you get to rub shoulders with some of those guys and you talk shop or fishing or whatever, some of them aren't nearly what you think they are on the track. I mean, Dale Earnhardt was a hard hitting, hard biting, fighting, guy on the track. But when you were off just sitting around relaxing, leaning on the car, shooting the breeze, he was pretty funny. You know what, Chris? I've been waiting for something like that to happen. I always figured he'd end up with that team or owning that team or doing something with that team. When he first at some point in his career when he was with Hendrix, I remember he had some kind of a deal with them to. He had some kind of ownership deal back then. That was part of his contract, or at least that was the rumor. And I'm not so surprised by that. I bet he takes a bigger and bigger role in that group. I mean, I can't. How old is Hendrix now? Is he still active with the teams? I mean, he wasn't that old, but he wasn't a pup either when I knew him. Absolutely, Tina. I think you're. I think you're absolutely right. I've seen enough hockey players. Don't know any personally, but off the ice that do so much humanitarian stuff and work with kids and all that. And when they're on the ice playing, they're a whole different animal, literally. I mean, they're rough and tough, and they're not going to take much crap from anybody. But off the track, they're teddy bears, sort of. Well, he had a rough go there for a while, Chris. I mean, I can remember when he had cancer, and and he, I guess, has been in remission all these years. So hopefully that holds. I can't remember exactly what kind that was now, but I'm sure you remember that. But he was away from the track some. But I kind of figured that Gordon would end up there sooner or later. That doesn't surprise me. I hadn't heard it, but it doesn't surprise me. I don't know. Do you know how much longer Fox has the contract for NASCAR, or do they just have it forever now? Let's see. My mother and stepdad once tried to get me an IndyCar autograph. Let's see here. Guess who it was now. It's because I couldn't make the race that day. My mom took my place. Let me get this right, Jonathan. So he was hitting on your mother? Is that what he was doing? Which driver was that? Will you say? No, you might be right, Chris. It might have been leukemia. That could be the case. It was something like that because I think it was a blood cancer. Now that I think about it, but people weren't sure about him making it back, but he did. And I can remember when they were plane crash too. That was hard. Let's see what John's saying. And was that up north where you are now, John, or where was that? Oh my Lord, hitting on your mom. Well, that says something for your mom, I guess. No offense. That's interesting. In a sort of strange way. Was this when they were racing in Toronto, Jonathan? Was it at one of those races? I guess do they still have a race up there? I can't remember. I follow that series pretty good these days, but I think they still come to Toronto, don't they? So, John, tell me something about Central. Are you when you say Central Jersey, is that the Pine Barrens area, or are you outside of that? Because I can't remember exactly where that is on the map. Well, Jonathan, I thought you were younger than that, so younger than I obviously think you are. So that's been a while back. they race in Detroit still, and in fact, they just did that. Maybe they don't go to Detroit or Toronto anymore. I'm not sure. That's interesting, Chris. I had not heard that part. I knew that they were losing some stuff. That's a shame because they've got some stuff on. I see that's where I watched hockey a lot, and I had heard that they were losing the hockey deal. In fact, I think ESPN's going to have that next year. Going to carry NHL hockey, which might be good. I mean, some people get more of that than that. But I didn't realize they were actually going to shut it down. I'll have to look into that some more. Interesting. I can't imagine a network shutting down a sports network. I mean, it just seems like it seems like, and I could be wrong, but some of those networks seem like that's where their money's at. But seem like they have more going on there than they do anywhere. USA Network and Peacock. Well, they ran some hockey games this week on the USA Network too. They've done that in the past when there was a lot of games. This time, well, see, that's the other thing I'm surprised by. They've got the Olympics are this year, and NBC still got that, and NBCSN is going to be running some of the Olympic events. Maybe they don't have the Olympics after this year. That'd be interesting. I'll have to look at that too. That's just funny that they would, cut a sports network to support USA, which it's not really a sports network. I mean, I know they do some things. Like I said, they ran some hockey games this week, but that's not typically a sporting type network. Or is it? I don't know how much new stuff they've got either. Most of it's reruns, I guess. Okay, I have read and heard about the Pine Barrens, and I know enough about it to know that it's like really different than the rest of the state. I had somebody tell me once and said, well, if you think you don't like New Jersey, you've never been to the Pine Barrens. So I've always been kind of curious about that. I was trying to think. I've been in Delaware a little bit. I don't know if I ever stepped foot in Jersey or not. No, maybe not. I guess I've had some airplane training up in, I started to say Newark, but that's not right. I was thinking about that. I don't think it was Newark. What do you mean by Montreal was a surprise, John? I've heard some stories about Montreal that surprised me, but I can't tell them here. Yeah, Jersey Devil. I've heard of the Jersey Devil. Miss Lynn. Wow, I'm going to have to go get a brain implant today. Leanne of our group, she talks about the New Jersey Devil. Her husband has a dragster that he runs locally there where they live, and it's got New Jersey Devil painted on the side of it. Yeah, I knew that, John. That's why I was thinking. I don't think Newark's where I went to school, and had a chance to rent a car and drive around, for the weekend, and I went down to Dover. Again, back then I was into NASCAR, and I wanted to go down and see the track, and they let me in and walk around it. I had never been to it at that time. I never raced. That was before I was racing with the team or going, working for the team. God, I can see it in my mind. I cannot think of where I was in school at though. There was a lot of aviation stuff in the Newark area. Yeah, they did. I was really kind of pulling for them too. I thought this might be a good year for them. Oh yes, John, that was a surprise. Well, it kind of was. I mean, they were a good team all year, or at least toward the latter half of the season. But I think knocking off some of the teams they beat was a surprise. I wasn't sure they could beat Vegas, and they pulled it off. So we'll see what they can do with this series with Tampa for the Cup. Will either be really good or Tampa will mop the floor with them. I mean, Tampa's good. Yeah, I like Price. Carey Price has been ace goalie for quite some time. That's okay, Tina. I know you're working several jobs this morning, so to speak. And John, back to this, maybe what you were talking about instead of the Jersey Devil I was thinking about. But are you a New Jersey Devils fan, hockey fan? I figure they're going to make a comeback here real soon too. That seems to kind of how hockey seems to work. I figure Detroit will be on the upswing here real quick too. They were better this year than they had been. It's hard for me to believe. Sometimes they went, I think it was 25 years without missing a playoff game, and they haven't been in one for the last several. Oh, that's right. You did do missile work when you were in the Air Force. You told us that, or told me that. That's interesting. I used to have a friend that worked for Lockheed Martin a few years ago. He was working on one of the. He was a engineer, and he was working on one of the new plane designs that they were working on. I don't know if it was the X-35 or the 22 or which one he was working on, but he's with somebody else now. But I think when that kind of started, they started winding that down, at least the design work and stuff. I think he took another job somewhere else, but he was working in the Marietta area. In '83, I was working in Nashville, mostly on turboprops. Some jets, but mostly executive turboprops back then. And Jonathan, I'm kind of rooting for the Habs to win the Cup, which I like I said, I think they could be in trouble, but I know they've won it a ton of times over the years, but they've not been there in a while. And there hasn't been a Canadian team even in the Stanley Cup in, I think, 10 years. So I'm kind of rooting for the home squad, so to speak. I mean, hockey's a Canadian game. Years ago, they never would have dreamed that an American team would beat them or, be the Cup champions. And even then, most of the players are Canadian. But, it's changed. Whoever thought that hockey would be as popular as it is in the South? And Nashville's a big hockey town down Tampa, out Miami, and the Panthers. I'm not sure what kind of crowds they draw, but I think it's pretty good down there too. Texas, Dallas Stars, California. So I can remember when Gretzky left, I guess Edmonton, and went to the Kings to help kind of boost that, and at least that's the way I took it, popularity and get things going down there, and that really helped, that kind of hockey out there, California. Yeah, I think you're probably right there, Jonathan. Being a French Canadian certainly probably inclines you to pull for those guys. I can't remember. I've looked this up before, but I can't remember what the Hab. What is the term Habs? Where did that come from? Do you know, Jonathan? Yeah. See, I've never worked on them or flown on them, although I had some friends that did. But C-130 is just. I think that's an amazing airplane. It's the DC-3 of today. I mean, in its time, DC-3s did everything. They were gunships. They hauled troops. They hauled transport, or they were transports. They hauled cargo. They did all that stuff, and that's what a C-130's done for years now. And even today, I mean, I've read and heard that they've tried to put them out to pasture a time or two, but they just can't. They're still too useful. And I guess now 141s, I'm going to assume, are all gone. C5s are either gone or on the way out. But the new one, the C-17, I think is what they're flying most of the time now. I've never got to fly on those. I'd love to fly on it. I'd love to have flown on a C5. Man, what an airplane that is. I've seen them. Taking off and landing. I've seen them on the ground a time or two. But, when I worked out of Nashville, John, the Air National Guard flew C-130s out of Nashville back then. And in fact, that Nashville C-130 group was one of the most active National Guard units in the country. I read they were in Vietnam. They were in different war zones and battlefronts for several years off and on because of what they did. And when I left Nashville, they were looking at getting C-141. So they retired them out of the Air Force. The Guard was going to get them, and they were going to replace their 130s with 141s. But I don't know if they got some, and then they stopped that program. But now all Nashville has is drones. They're strictly a drone operation down there. No real airplanes. Well, a drone's a real airplane, but you know what I mean. No, you do not, John. That is one impressive gunship. I've seen specs on those things. I've read about them for years. I've seen some documentary type stuff on them. They are. I wouldn't want to be beneath one when they were mad. They just, what a devastating platform for a weapons system. What time is it? Oh, it's 12:01. Okay, guys. I guess I need to start winding this down. I thought about shutting it down at 11:30, and it's already 12:01. I don't tend to have any set time for stopping, and I will stay longer if anybody wants to talk C-130s and hockey, but probably ought to get out and let some people do some things if this is holding them up. I know Tina is a very busy young lady because she's probably monitoring she's probably monitoring at least 6 other sites while she's doing this. Is that right, John or Jonathan? Huh. I wonder what they were doing down that low in town. Interesting. It's some airplane. I know that. And they can land them short and take them off short. I've never seen it in person, but I've seen videos of them taking off with JATO units. It is impressive. Okay, Chris, thanks for coming by, buddy. I appreciate it. I'll see you later somewhere. I'm going to shut her down here in a minute, so let everybody get about their Saturday business. Have a good day. All right, guys. I think I will shut it down. It's we've had a couple hours of good conversation here, and like I said, it's a busy Saturday. A lot of people on today. A lot of things happening. Weather's nice here. I may try to see if I can get my wife to go do something, and if not, I've got a few things to do. Yeah, it is a big airplane, Jonathan, especially up close in that situation. It would look huge. Thanks, Kay. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, John Surfbun, for coming in. Carol's left, but I want to thank everybody who showed up today to share coffee and conversation. Who knows what we'll do next week, but I'll find something to talk about, even if it's not what I intend to talk about. We'll talk about it anyway. So for now, I'll see everybody next time, and as we used to say in this part of the country, if the creek don't rise, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I'll be back here again next Saturday, 10 a.m. for Saturday Morning Shine. Thank you, everybody.